Hello and welcome to episode 243 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now joining me on today's episode, I'm joined by the film director Phil Barantini. I get to sit down and talk in great detail about his most recent film and for me one of the films of the year, Boiling Point. I really hope you've seen this film. Don't get me wrong, it's stressful. It will leave you on edge like Adam Sandler's Hidden Gems. That's the film I compare it to for stress levels. But it gives you a real, true life and perspective of how it is to work in a kitchen. And Stephen Graham, as always, delivers one of the performances of the year. So I'm thrilled to get to sit down and talk in great detail about this film and much more with Phil. And that interview will be coming up in just a couple of minutes' time. But as always, I always like to use the intro to touch base and talk about my last episode. This episode only came out 2 days ago, and I was also joined by another Phil, but this time Phil Tippett. Yes, the absolute god of stop animation and an absolute legend. I saw so many comments, so many people reacting with that shocked emoji, and people just blown away that he came on the Mark and Me podcast, and it was an absolute pleasure to have him on. We got to talk in great detail about Star Wars, Jurassic Park, and his new film Mad God. So please, if you haven't checked it out, go back and listen to that and then check out that amazing film. But today it's huge. It's all about Boiling Point and all about one of the best directors out there. Someone that's been in the industry for many years, worked their way up, have been on both sides of the camera, and is really just an amazing person to talk to. I can't wait to get to it, so I think that's exactly what we do. So here's me and Phil Barantini talking all things film. Philip, thanks for joining me today on the Mark and Me podcast.
Thanks, Mark.
Philip, what I like to do is for any listener that might be tuning in for the first time to discover your work is take it right back to the very start. Tell me about when you were growing up, back in the old days. Tell me about when you were growing up. What were those first films that you remember seeing that made you basically fall in love with cinema?
Okay, E.T. and The Goonies.
Oh, wow. 80s classics.
80s classics, mate, yeah. Those films for me were just so magical. And they still are, you know. And I just, yeah, they put me on a journey. And also, they made me want to understand how films are made and what, you know, I was so interested in the behind the scenes of those films that I think subconsciously that's what made me want to be a filmmaker. And I took the route of being an actor for 25 years. And so I was able to sort of home in on my craft and learn the industry through being an actor, you know.
Do you think it kind of gives you a different perspective and maybe a more respected look at how actors are treated because you've been there yourself in those shoes?
100%. Yes, I understand actors, whereas a lot of directors, I don't think not that they don't understand them, I just don't think they know how to approach them. And, you know, you have to approach actors in a different way. Every actor is very different in their process and how they work. So you have to understand that. You have to respect that. Whereas I think some directors, not all directors, but some directors certainly go in with a vision in mind, and there's no getting around it. And so sometimes there's a clash there with actors. And they also, you know, actors love to play, and they like to come in with their ideas and how they see the scene, but then also, you know, they like to play around with it as well. You know, some actors just thrive on being not told what to do, but to, you know, to collaborate. And but I understand that, and I understand how to speak to actors as well, and not to give too many notes and not to over complicate scenes and things like that. So it's about having that really close relationship before you even step on set. You need to be basically thinking for each other. You know, they need to know what you're thinking, and you need to know what they're thinking. And if there's anything, it's just about you're both on a rowing boat. You both got an oar each, and you've got to be, you know, swimming in the same direction, basically.
What was the point then for you that kind of transferred over? Was there a turning point that you just said, look, I'm done with acting now, I just want to be on the other side of the camera? Or was there something that triggered it? Or was it just a conscious choice of, I just want to try something different?
I'd always wanted to direct for many, many years. I'd always thought, you know, I mean, I used to make little films when I was younger, and with camcorders and stuff with my mates and my cousins and stuff. and subconsciously, that I think that's always where I wanted to go. But I never had the confidence for a long time, because I always put directors on this platform of being, super educated, and having they know everything about it is to know about film and TV and actors, and everything. Um, and I was just an actor, blagging it basically, um, from a young age, and then my mum passed away 6 years ago, quite suddenly, and that was the catalyst for me to just go, you know what am I doing? Let's just give it a go and see what happens. And so I just put all my energy into it, and I haven't looked back since.
Was it kind of a life's too short moment and you just need to do it now, otherwise you never will, and anything can be taken
Absolutely,
from you in a heartbeat?
absolutely, absolutely, 100%. I mean, you know, that was the most horrific time in my life, losing my mum like that. And but there was moments where, because I suffered with addiction for many years. I've been sober now for 7 years. So at the time, I'd been sober for 1 year, and then my mum passed away. And I think there was a conflict in me, and I think also my friends and family obviously thought, oh my god, he's going to go off the rails here. Um, but it was the opposite, and I didn't. Um, I literally was like, it sounds. I'm really a big believer in energy, and all that kind of stuff, and I feel my mum's presence with me all the time, and she is driving me forward, and you know, like nothing is. I have that sort of, I call it just like the fuck it moment. So just like, you know what, fuck it, let's just do it. Let's just do it and see what happens, because life's too short. You don't know what's around the corner, and if you fail at it, then you've got something to work on. It's not the end of the world. Like we're not saving lives here. We're having fun. This industry is the most fun, exciting industry to be in, and so you know, rather than taking it all, I mean, obviously you've got to take it serious, but like also at the same time, have fun whilst doing it. And that's
I'd
what I'm
rather
doing
I'd
now.
rather be on my deathbed looking back knowing that I rolled a lot of dice and maybe not got double
Yeah,
sixes, but at least I fucking rolled them.
exactly. Yeah, at least you tried.
Yeah.
Like some people sit there, and I say it a lot. I say just jump off the cliff, because you never know. You might just fly. Like I'm still flapping my wings now, but I'm staying afloat. I'm flying. So that's the best thing about it. Just
Do
jump off that cliff, make that decision.
do you mentally feel stronger because of what happened? And I don't mean that in a morbid way, but the fact that the first thing when you said out loud then that your mother passed away, which obviously I feel bad for you for that, but yeah, anyone would then want to jump straight back on the bad tracks and go down that really downward spiral. But the fact you didn't is such a credit to you and such strength. And I suppose you like doing your mother proud now and showing
Mate,
that.
honestly, you've just took the word out of my mouth, because that is exactly what I felt.
Yeah,
I felt like, oh God, she's watching me now. Like she's not gonna. I need to show her
yeah,
what I can do. You know what I mean? I want her to be proud of me, and I do feel that every time. I've got a picture on my wall at home, and it's a picture of my mum, my granddad, and my nan, who are all we've all passed away now. But my mum's, they're all holding a glass of champagne out like that to the camera, and big smiles on the face. Every time something happens that I do in my life, whether it be good or bad, I always look at that picture, and even if it's bad, I'm like, they're like still there, and I'm like, yeah, okay,
you make me feel sad. I wasn't expecting this from an interview this early in the morning. I'm like, oh my God, I'm
yeah,
welling up. But that's really beautiful. And I suppose they're always going to be watching over you. And the fact that you are
yeah,
doing well and Boiling Point was such a success is kind of like you can join them with a glass of wine and toast on that photo.
yeah. Well, a non-alcoholic wine.
Exactly. Yeah. These zero ones, of course.
Yeah. Which is there's many of them now. There's many of them.
Yeah, well, let's talk Boiling Point because I've seen this
Yeah.
film. I saw it a while ago actually, when it was on Netflix, and I love that Second Sight have picked it up. But
Mm,
I don't think, apart from Hidden Gems with Adam Sandler, there's not been anything so
yeah.
stressful in my last 5 years of watching stuff. The pace, the acting, it nearly gave me an anxiety attack, but that's a good thing because I'm still talking about it now to people and thinking about it. But did you ever anticipate it to be such a success?
Oh God, no, 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 not at all, not at all. You know, we made the short film in 2018, and that was almost like because I'd worked in kitchens and restaurants. I wanted to show something and depict something that was truthful to my experiences, because I knew it had never really been it had been done, in certain films, but not. I'd watched those films and been like, yeah, it's nice, it's glossy, but that's not what I went through.
No,
I want to show people what I've gone through in my career as a chef.
it's not
Um,
like Ratatouille or Chef, the film, where it's all beautiful and
well,
colourful and lovely.
exactly, exactly, exactly. So I wanted to do the short, and then the opportunity came about to do a feature, and I was like, yeah, jumped at the opportunity, and it's I never ever in a million years thought it would do what it's done, and go on the journey it's gone on. It's just incredible, you know. Absolutely mind blowing. And here I am in Base Studios in Manchester, about to we're in prep on the TV series now, and it's like crazy. What a journey!
It's amazing to
Mad.
start from a short, then to a feature, then to a series like that. I don't think there's
Yeah,
many people that can say that.
I know. Yeah, I know. And again, it's like it's all just happened really organically, I do believe that my mum's helping me, do that.
Yeah.
She's driving me forward every day. Um, yeah, it's mad. It's mad.
And then
Like,
sitting down there when you're deciding the casting, I've had Jason Fleming on the podcast previously, and I
love
love
him.
the geezer. Like what you see is
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you get, and he's just
yeah,
beautiful. I've not had Stephen Graham yet. He's high on my list, and I
yeah.
think, and I truly mean this, he's probably one of the top 5 British actors that people don't give him enough credit. Even though everyone loves him,
Yeah,
he still isn't getting every award out there. And for me,
I
he's
know.
surely one of our best ever.
I couldn't agree with you more, if I'm honest. He's one of my closest friends now. We've known each other for years, but we've become very, very, very close in recent years. Um, and yeah, I can't quite believe it. He's on everybody's lists, and everybody talks about him being a national treasure, and one of our best actors and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, he doesn't seem to ever. Well, look, it's not about winning awards. It's about producing great work. And if people are talking about him, producing this fantastic work every time, and people want to watch him, then that's the biggest win.
Yeah,
Because that's ultimately all we want, really. Like I, it's nice to be nominated for things. It's nice to be recognized by your peers and people watching your stuff. But I don't think this industry should be a competition. Like, it's not a competition sport. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
not. It's not part of the Olympics and things like that, or football or whatever. But I think we're all. There's so much opportunity out there, and so much scope for work for people, that I think that should be recognized. And actually, the award ceremonies are starting to, like the BIFAs, for example. I'm on the jury for the BIFAs this year, and some of the categories they've got are phenomenal. Like, they don't have best actor, best actress anymore. It's best performance. So it's mixed, which is fucking brilliant. Best ensemble, you know, best casting is one thing that's come in recently, which is just great. So the casting directors are getting recognised. But I think being recognised as a nominee is the win for me.
yeah.
Like, I don't think it should be like, if we could go, all of these films are great, they're all winners, or then it should be like that. I mean, look, I could get into this for ages, but yeah, it's all politics, isn't
It is. And what I really am proud of with this release is that I know it's been on Netflix and everyone can go and see it on there and stuff, but Second Sight are one of my favourite companies in the UK.
it?
I love the fact that they can go out there and release something like Drive on this super duper incredible box set that's all beautiful, but they also look at the smaller films as well, like Censor, Prano Bailey Bomb,
Yeah,
which is one of my
Chronos,
favourite
yeah,
films,
yeah,
and
brilliant.
Boiling Point. I wouldn't expect to be in part of that collection when I first look at all the spines, like Dawn of the Dead and stuff. But now I see it, I'm like, that sits there perfectly, and it must be, for me as a bit of a geek, I would be absolutely obsessed with the day that I got a release and a booklet and a nice artwork and a slipcase and all that. And it must be really nice to see that they've given the treatment to your film that it deserves.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, when I heard that they were going to be doing it, I was over the moon. I didn't expect it. I was like, because it's been on Netflix, like you say, and it was, it's a small cinema release and all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, that's it, done. It's there now. That's done. But for this to then elevate it even more with that, like say the artwork and all of those little, the behind the scenes stuff and the commentary from Bart and James and stuff like that. It's just, it's there forever then, and I want to, I want people to be able to, because I get asked so many questions about the film. A lot of the questions will be answered in, certainly the behind the scenes stuff that you can see how we made it and the journey we went on.
It's beautiful. And I suppose now that you're wrapped up in this TV series, is there kind of something that's in the future that you can kind of talk about, or is it kind of, are you just locked into that at the moment without trying to get your head to go elsewhere? You're just trying to kind of keep yourself focused on one thing?
I would like to say yes, but I am essentially an addict.
Yeah.
And so my brain is constantly on the move, and so I set up a production company recently, and we've got several projects that we're working on, various different stages. Not all for me, I'll be exec producing some of them, but also I'm doing a movie straight after Boiling Point next summer. We start prep in June, I think. I can't say who's attached to it yet, but we've got a fantastic lead actor attached, and I'll be doing that with 21 Laps Entertainment, who are the producers of Stranger Things, and it's Sean Levy's company. Basically, he's producing it with the team there and Endeavour Content. I'm doing that, and then I've got another thing happening at the end of next year, beginning of 2024. Yeah, I'm literally back to back. I'm so grateful for the position that I'm in. It's like, because I know how difficult it is, not only to get into this industry as a director or a filmmaker or producer or whatever, but to sustain it. And I jumped off the cliff, and it's paying off. And that's why I always say to people, believe in yourself, believe in your abilities. Yes, I suffer massively with imposter syndrome on a daily basis, but I have to sort of put that to the back and go, no, I'm here because, I deserve to be here, and always believe in yourself. Because if you let that take over, the imposter syndrome take over, or any of those doubts take over, then that's when you start to crumble, I think. And they are always there. But you've got one of the things that I always say is, like, everyone's going through imposter syndrome. Everyone, even people at the top, the big studio bosses, I'm sure they're going through imposter syndrome at times.
I think every single person. I mean, my podcast isn't absolutely huge on this level of empire, but I've had world exclusives with Mads Mikkelsen, Kevin Smith, Sir Anthony Hopkins, and I sit here think, I'm a guy in my bedroom. I'd like, when's someone going to like break through the door and say, "Oi,
that's it, yeah, get out,
talking to these professional people."
Yeah, exactly. But you're doing something right, and it shows, and that's, people want to talk to you, and that's, I try my best to, anyone ask me, how did you get to this point? Like, I know, I'm sure there's some people are going, oh, he just jumped in from nowhere. But I've been working in this industry for over 25 years as an actor. And, I've been learning my craft subconsciously and consciously during that time. And so, I haven't just sort of popped up out of nowhere.
I think the best directors have been on both sides of the camera, and it's hard to think on the spot completely, but when I think of Clint Eastwood and Ben Affleck more recently,
yeah,
Ben Affleck was like 5 for 5 of his releases, and everyone was like, oh, he's just a pretty boy, he's the guy from Armageddon. And then as soon as he came out and was like, right, here's some of my films, I was like not, what's it called, I thought the one that's kind of Argo.
yeah.
Genuinely is a
Brilliant.
masterpiece, and I'm like, yep, like that's the guy who's been on the other side, studied, watched how things should go, how things shouldn't go, took it all to the other side of the camera, and now he's nailing it.
Exactly. And you know what? It's like you said, I think actors do make the best directors because they can put themselves in the shoes of the actor, and also, for me, when I was acting, I was always, um, uh, again, subconsciously, I was always so interested in everybody's job and what they were doing, and I was so excited to be on set and seeing how it all worked, and and asking the questions like, why are you putting that light there? What's that for? Not because I'm like, because in the future I'm going to be a director and I want to know all these things. It was just like so interested and keen to understand it all, really. um and I'm still learning. I'm learning every day, because I think it's important that yes, I'm the director and people are looking at me for answers and stuff like that, but I haven't got all the answers. And the way that I like to work is I like to throw it out to the group. I like to collaborate with everyone and go, right, you're the costume designer. That's your forte. That's your field. You tell me what you think these characters should be wearing, and we'll talk about it. I think she should be in blue, but what do you think? And if they go, well, no, I don't. I think the green looks better because of this and this and this. I'm like, well, green it is then. Let's go with green.
I love it. Never
You
change,
know,
man. That's the attitude to have.
yeah. I just think it's important because, like, we've all got to be singing from the same hymn sheet. We've all got to be on that boat together, and we've all got to be rowing in the same direction. And if we're not, and if someone feels like they're not listened to, or they're not being able to put their answer, their voice across, then you're just not going to get the best out of people. It's important that everyone feels comfortable on my set, and everybody feels like they deserve to be there, and they're not scared to tell me that they think something's not right or something, because I'm not going to say to them it is right because it's my idea. If I go, oh yeah, maybe you think you're right, actually it's not the best way to do that. Well, any suggestions?
It's the best way
I
to
think
be.
it's I think so. Yeah, I think so.
My final question for you today is what I ask everybody that comes on the podcast is you get to choose the final piece of music that's played. So after our interview's all wrapped up, edited, and out there for the world to listen to, I've done 240 episodes, but I put you on the spot. You choose the final
Oh,
outro piece of music that then plays after today's interview.
all right, all right, all right.
It keeps it nice and fresh and original.
I am going to. I'm literally. Oh, where is he? Okay. Voila
Okay,
by Barbara Pravi.
I'll write that down and that will be the one. I've
I've
never
just been
heard
listening
that,
to
so
it.
this is a good one because it then brings new music to me as well at the same time.
Oh, she's good. She's
I'm
good.
excited.
I only learned of her like a couple of weeks ago, and I can't stop listening to this one particular album. I'm not going to say it, try and pronounce it because it's French, but um, Barbara Pravi with
Okay.
an I.
This
Yeah,
is
she's
going to be new
brilliant.
music, which I love. Some people think, oh, the Beatles. I'm like, okay, that's great, but I know the
Yeah,
Beatles inside out. So new
yeah.
music is always good. But our time's up, but I just wanted to say thanks for coming
Oh,
on. It's an absolute pleasure,
thanks, Mark.
and I really hope our paths cross again and you can come back on at another time.
I love that, mate. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for your time. So there it is. There's my interview with me and the amazing director, Phil Barantini. And as you heard, we discussed in great detail this film, Boiling Point. You may have seen it on Netflix, but the amazing folks at Second Sight have just released an exclusive box set. And honestly, like all their releases, and I'm not paid to say this, it's beautiful. You get an amazing booklet, commentary, all the special features you expect. And for me, they're the best company out there. Their releases are unreal. And the best thing is, if you check on my social medias this week, I'll be giving a copy away, so stay tuned for that. I just want to say now that I believe that Phil has the vision and the skills and expertise to go so far in this industry. Already he's made one of my films of the year. Everyone I know that's seen Boiling Point absolutely adored it. Don't get me wrong, like I've said, it's stressful. The pace is, oh my God, it's going to give you an actual anxiety attack. But it's so good, it's so captivating, and I absolutely adore it. If you go and check the film out because of this podcast, let me know. All the links are on markandme.com, and there's no better compliment than me going on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram and seeing that one of you has now gone and checked out Boiling Point because of this podcast, fell in love with the film. Honestly, it means I'm doing my job right. Again, I want to say thank you to everyone that listens to this podcast. If you've really enjoyed it, on markandme.com, all the links are on there to all the social media channels I run. All I ask in return for this free podcast today is to share it. It costs nothing to do. I keep saying it on each and every episode because it's vital to get the word out there. Just hit retweet or hit share on Twitter, Facebook or Instagram, and it really goes a long way. I also have a Patreon account set up. That's to keep the podcast running. If you're not new or familiar with Patreon, it's an account that you can go on and each month throw me £1 or £2. That goes right back into the podcast, allows me to travel the country, record episodes like this, and keep the podcast hosted on stuff like Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I rely on that to keep the podcast going, and it isn't a lot to ask, and in return, thanks to my amazing friends at Richer Sounds, I have some amazing prizes to give away and exclusive episodes starting very soon. I'll be back in only a few days' time, so until then, watch Boiling Point, look after yourself, take care, and I'll speak to you all very soon.
Écoutez-moi, moi la chanteuse à demi. Parlez de moi, à vos amours, à vos amis. Parlez-leur de cette fille aux yeux noirs et de son rêve fou. Moi ce que je veux, c'est écrire des histoires qui arrivent jusqu'à vous. C'est tout. Voilà, 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 voilà qui je suis. Me voilà même si, mise à nu j'ai peur. Oui, me voilà dans le bruit et dans le silence. Regardez-moi, ou du moins ce qu'il en reste. Regardez-moi, avant que je me déteste. Quoi vous dire que les lèvres d'une autre ne vous diront pas? C'est peu de choses, mais moi, tout ce que j'ai, je le dépose là. Voilà. Voilà, 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 voilà qui je suis. Me voilà même si, mise à nu c'est fini. C'est ma gueule, c'est mon cri. Me voilà, tant pis. Voilà, 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 juste ici, moi, mon rêve, mon envie. Comme j'en crève, comme j'en ris, me voilà dans le bruit et dans le silence. Ne partez pas, je vous en supplie, restez longtemps. Ça me sauvera peut-être pas, mais faire sans vous, je sais pas comment. Aimez-moi comme on aime un ami qui s'en va pour toujours. Je veux qu'on m'aime parce que moi je sais pas bien aimer mes contours.